It's Lizard, it's Liz, it's whatever you want to call me, and I'm here with a book review today. I don't have the book to hold up and show you because I just lent it to my mom. But if you've read the title, you know that this is about the book Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. And I'm really excited to talk about this book. I've been wanting to read this book for a really long time. Because I love the movie Howl's Moving Castle, and I'd heard good things about the book, but I had a really hard time finding it for a good price because I'm very cheap. It was sold out of my cart on Thrift Books for like a year, and then I was able to finally get it like last month, and I read it, and I really loved it, so I wanted to talk about it, and so I think it's very important that you look at the book and the movie as separate things, that obviously influence the book is where the movie came from, but there's a lot of things that were changed, so you have to just take them as separate entities. But despite that, I'm going to use the movie as like a point to make comparisons to for other fans of the movie who want to read the book or are interested in reading the book. So, one of the first changes, I note this, that was just also a thing about the book in general. There's a lot more characters. They don't all get fleshed out, but it seems like there's a bigger cast of characters that have relevance than in the movie. And I think for some characters, specifically Howl and Sophie, their traits are a lot more concentrated. Like Howl is more vain and dramatic and has a lot more of a slow development. And Sophie, through seeing her, she doesn't narrate, but she's a third-person limited, it's a third-person limited narrative, and she is the limited person, if that made sense. She's the person whose thoughts you see. And she is very dramatic in her own way, and strong-willed, and it's really cool to see how that played out. And then there's characters like Michael, who was changed to Markle in the movie. I'm not sure why they did that. But Michael is a good character, but I feel like maybe his traits were pushed to the background because of the amount of characters there were and how intense Howl and Sophie both are. And then there's other characters, even like Sophie's family, her sisters and her stepmother, who get very little personality, which again is fine. And not every character in a story has to be fully fleshed out. Sometimes background characters are just background characters. But I wish there was more of her family, and I wish they were more of this, had more of a role in the story. The plot. The plot. The plot I found very exciting, but at the same time it was more slow-moving, and I would say more confusing than the movie. The stakes in the story don't feel very high until, like, the end, like, the last 2 chapters. Before that, everything is, like, a really slow build-up, and then it's like, wah! So, there's that. And I also, like I said, I found it confusing. I found the plot with the Witch of the Waste very confusing. Which, again, I don't know what I'm saying again. I'm not sure if I said that before. But for me, I think that could just be me. I have a hard time sometimes with things like that. So it might have been a plot that made sense to other people. But for me, on my first read, it was really confusing. But maybe that'll change when I read it again in the future. One of my favorite things in the plot was Howl being from Wales and Howl driving a car, which strikes me as a thing that he should not be allowed to do. I would not trust him behind the wheel, and it doesn't seem like Sophie did much either. And then, I guess this is a short review. The last thing I have written down in my notes is, like, the movie is very noted for its romance between Howl and Sophie as they try to undo their curses and slowly fall in love. And the book, it has the same ending for the most part, but you couldn't see much romance between them until the very end. If I didn't know the movie, I would not have guessed that they ended up together until, like I said, the very end, the last, like, 1 or 2 chapters. And that's all I've got written down. So, I guess that's all I had to say. If you have read this book, or you're a fan of the movie and are interested in the book, please talk about it with me in the comments. I would be so interested to share thoughts. It's a great book. I really, really recommend it. Oh, one of the things I didn't write down, but I just remembered, was when I was reading it, I found myself really enraptured with the writing, and I thought it reminded me of The Hobbit, even though it's obviously a very different plot. The way it's written and the fantasy setup feels very reminiscent, and so that was very cozy. The Hobbit is one of my all-time favorite books, so I really liked that. Now I'm done, though. So, I hope you have a very good day. Thank you for watching. Bye.